Are you trying to pick up French after several years or even decades? Or maybe you even studied abroad in France, but something recently piqued your interest in relearning French. Reconnecting with your French is a great way to keep your brain working, and you're never too old or too young to refresh your French. In today's lesson, I want to share some practical tips for restarting your French learning, with some vocabulary tips to help you adjust to modern, everyday spoken French. First of all, félicitations, learning is fun. And reconnecting to French is a fantastic way to engage with French culture or even prepare a trip to France. But don't trust motivation too much. Regular practice is what will give you the most fun and rewards. And this applies to whatever you do, whether it's learning French or painting or gardening or learning anything new. For your regular practice of French, you can take advantage from having a giant trove of French culture and resources just at your fingertips. Yes, back in your childhood days when you were learning French in school, it was probably difficult to find French movies or any kind of French TV show to watch. But nowadays, there is a ton of new films and series that you can watch right now online on Netflix or YouTube or any streaming service, and they're a great way to practice your understanding of spoken French or just having fun with French culture. If you don't know where to start, I have covered a few of them on my channel, and you will find the full list of recommendations on the blog post for this lesson, as well as a full written transcript and all the resources and more. You might also have heard of French words or expressions that might have changed meaning since the last time you practiced. It is true, but it is not as true as you think. Of course, slang has changed. We don't really use 70s slangs such as une gonzesse for a girl, une gonzesse. We don't use this kind of words much anymore.
Ma gonzesse, celle que je suis avec ma princesse.
But really, you probably didn't learn a ton of French slang in the first place. And if you did, then just go and use it. Go for it. It will be cute and French people will love it. Now, I have been asked to cover two words or expressions specifically. It is mademoiselle and bon appétit. Mademoiselle is miss in English. It is a term for a woman who is not married.
J'appelle ça la France, mademoiselle.
Some French people are frowning upon its use as it has no male counterpart and it can be used in a demeaning way towards young women. I kind of agree with that, but I think it's difficult to change use. However, I am very happy with the decision to remove this from admin forms. This is the kind of little things that leads towards equality because you don't see this coming from the state. But for most people in everyday life, it is fine. Society is changing and mademoiselle is now more a way to address young women. Married women and not so young women are addressed as madame, and all men are called monsieur. Madame and monsieur are also optional words of politeness. You can not use them, that's okay. In real life, if you say merci, thank you, it is the same weight as merci monsieur. It's absolutely enough to just say merci. Another rumor that's been spreading around is about bon appétit. It is the French way to say enjoy a meal before any meal. The T at the end is silent. We don't say bon appétit. It is bon appétit. We've seen that before. In French culture, meals are a very important social event, and we take the time to really enjoy the meal with people. Some people are a bit more difficult though. To feel superior, they try to tell you that it is impolite to say bon appétit, as it is a reminder that we're animals that need to eat to survive or whatever. But you know what? They're wrong. Historically, it's been a sign of politeness, and anyway, words only mean what we agree on them to mean. In everyday life, we do actually wish bon appétit. It is a short way to say that we are enjoying having this meal with the person we're sharing it with. So just keep wishing people bon appétit, that's really nice. Finally, let's talk about everyday French. The French we speak every day is informal, and it might not be what you learned at school. And informal French is the French that you will hear the most in movies, TV shows, and any kind of resources that we enjoy in French. Now, good news. Everyday informal French is most of the time much simpler than what you learned at school. For instance, you might remember something about negative sentences in French, like je ne sais pas for I don't know. Je ne sais pas is I don't know in proper French that we teach at school. Well, in informal French, one thing that we would actually do is to drop the ne. And we would say instead, je sais pas. Je sais pas without the ne. Je sais pas.
Je sais pas.
And that's the case for most negative sentences. Elle est pas là for she's not there. Elle est pas là. Ils ont pas le temps, with the liaison. They don't have the time. Ils ont pas le temps. Or, je suis pas sûr. I am not sure. Je suis pas sûr. Je suis pas sûr. And actually, you can go one step further, and that's by cutting the E. We cut the E wherever we can, especially in one-syllable words. Like in je for I, je. So we'd say instead, je suis pas sûr, instead of je suis pas sûr for I'm not sure, as we just saw. Je suis pas sûr. This is the kind of thing that will really help you start to understand the informal spoken French that you will hear around you. Then you can start applying what you learned years ago, like grammar and vocabulary, etc. Oh, and by the way, when we get the E in je, sometimes it changes the sound that we make. The je and the se sound, for example, make the sound sh, sh, sh. So if we go back to the previous example, we would say je suis pas sûr for I'm not sure. Je suis pas sûr. Or even je sais pas for I don't know. Je ne sais pas becomes je sais pas. Je sais pas.
Ah mon Dieu, je sais pas comment sera le nouveau, mais...
And that's the kind of pronunciation that you can concentrate on when you're reconnecting with your interest in French. It will help you better listen what you hear even before you can try to make sense of it. Because in real French resources, French people tend to speak very fast, cutting words and letters as we've just seen, and that can be pretty confusing. On the other hand, there are words that you shouldn't even bother to try translating in your head. They're filler words. Words like quoi for what? Quoi, or tu vois for you see, tu vois. Or for this is how we express doubt or uncertainty, or we need time to think. Du coup for so, du coup without the P at the end. Or genre for like, genre. That's a bit more modern. These words can have kind of a meaning, but really in everyday life, you very often can cut them out of a sentence and it would make as much sense. They're kind of verbal tics. They really are just fillers. There is probably a lot more everyday French that was not in your textbooks, and I will keep covering them in my lessons in the next weeks. But for now, you can dive deeper on my lesson on understanding fast spoken French. Just click right here on your screen and I will see you in the next video. Allez, à tout de suite!